Hello everyone, it is Wazaldo or Wesley, and today I'm playing my favorite leader of all time, maybe second favorite technically, but it is OP7 Foxy in the OP15 meta. If you've been looking for a list for Foxy in OP15 or waiting for me to make a video on it, here that is. I hope it scratches that itch. If you don't know me, my name's Wesley. I brought Foxy to the One Piece Nationals in Season 2 of the 2025 or 2026 season. Cannot remember off the top of my head, but I brought it. I did okay. I definitely could have done better, and here I am to redeem myself and start doing better on the deck. Personally, I think Foxy is probably one of the best decks of OP15, especially if you really know how to play it. It feels incredible right now. There is quite a bit of tech in the deck right now, and I think I would like to find places to put certain cards, but right now this is the deck I am having the best and most consistent results with. If you don't know what Foxy does when attacking, if you have 3 Foxy Pirates out on the field, you can Don -3, so return 3 Don to your Don deck, and then freeze your opponent's leader and character. You can freeze one of each, which is really strong. If you don't know, freezing is the new removal, so making a OP7 leader basically the new removal deck is really strong. And the new card from OP15 Nola actually makes the deck as strong as well as some other factors like the OP15 meta being pretty favored towards 5 life leaders, and just being able to go wide is really strong for this deck as well. Into the deck list, you're going to run 4 Porsche. Porsche is a new EBO4 card that came out in OP14 for us in the West, and it lets you search for the top 5 cards of your deck for a Foxy Pirate. Really strong card, especially when you consider you have to get to that 3 Foxy Pirate threshold. This Porsche makes it super easy. After that is 4 Gina. Gina's a really strong card for ramping Don back if you really need to, and it's also a 2k counter that's searchable off Porsche. The newest card and only OP15 card in the deck is going to be this Nola. Nola is really strong because it protects all of your 7k or unders from being removed from the board. It protects all but 6 cards in this deck and really feels strong. It protects your 7 cost Foxies, which are really strong as well, because you only have to return a Don to your Don deck, something you do a ton of anyways, in order to protect the characters. So it's protecting itself and protecting your whole board, other than maybe the Resonante and Law and the Foxy, but typically these cards are going to be removed anyways if your opponent has a way to remove them. Really strong addition to the deck. Basically replaces Pickles. I think it's an amazing card. After that, you're going to run 4 Chopper. Chopper is the chump blocker of the deck that also ramps you back a rested Don. Really strong after you use your leader ability, or just in the early game after playing a Porsche. You're also going to run an Itamamizu, another card you can play off of Porsche. Every turn you have this on your field, you can ramp 1 rested Don back. It is an incredibly strong ramp tool. It is basically a Onigashima on legs that is also searchable and can be grabbed and played out for free. It is probably one of the strongest purple cards. It would be probably the best card in the game if it was Ryan in any other purple deck. After that is Porsche, one of the strongest early game plays you can make. You Don -1, search your top 5 for a Foxy Pirate, and then play 1 4k or less purple character from your hand. Meaning it does not have to be a Foxy Pirate coming out of your hand. You can play a Mr. 2, a Black Maria if you're behind in Don, a Nola if you need to get it out on the field. Really strong card. It's been in non-Foxy Pirate decks because of that. After that, you're going to run 2 Black Maria. Black Maria is a really strong card for if you have to use your leader ability early. I have it at 2. I know some people might like it at 3 or 4. I think it is a good card, but I think Nola takes precedent over it in this kind of blue meta that has some removal that is really strong, and a lot of the time Black Maria isn't going to be quite as relevant, I feel. After that, to round out the 2Ks, is this Usohachi. Usohachi is a really strong card. I would have it at 4 if I could. Maybe I cut out the Black Marias and just run 11 2Ks in the deck with the 4 Usohachis, 4 Ginas, and 3 Nolas. Possibly bump up the Nola as well. But it lets you rest a 5 cost or less, typically a blocker when you're going for game, as long as you have 8 or more Don out on the field. Really strong 2K. Really solid thing, just purple staple at this point. After that, you're going to run 4 Mr. 2. Mr. 2 lets you ramp an active Don on play, and then when attacking, it lets you select up to one of your opponent's characters, and Mr. 2's base power becomes that character's power for the rest of your turn. After that is Groggy Monsters. I'm not a huge fan of Groggy Monsters, though it does feel pretty important in the Anel matchup for getting rid of the dog. I forget what the dog's name is, but it's the one that gives double attack to the Ohms and the dog. I just edited an Anel video. I don't know why I can't remember it. It's mainly for that, but it also can remove other 6 carelesses from the board. It's a solid card, and when you are playing into Boa and you clear one of your opponent's characters and have to take a life, this is a great way to follow it up, so you can remove 2 characters for the price of 1 life, where typically Boa is going to try and make it so you only take 1 character per turn to maximize their value from leader effect. After that is another oncoming purple staple in Trafalgar Law and Rosinante, or Rosinante and Law. Sorry, I got it confused. It's a 6-cost 8k blocker, which is really strong on its own. That also, if you have less Don than your opponent, using Foxy's leader ability, it's really easy. Sometimes you'll just attach a Don to 3 characters and swing with them, use your leader ability, and then play this out. You get an active Don on play, and then draw a card. So you go hand neutral, get an active Don for maybe using a leader or a 2-cost event, like Noro Beam Sword, or bumping up another swing. And then you get it's super strong. I hope I'm coming through pretty clearly on why that's strong. After that, you're going to run the 2 Foxys. What Foxy does, both of them are going to do, is once per turn, you can ramp a rested Don, similar to what Itamizu does, but it is a swingable body. For the 7-cost Foxy, it's going to, on your opponent's turn, give their board -1k power, really strong, and a really great way to slow down your opponent in certain matchups. Like Enel, if you get 2 of these out on the board, sometimes your opponent just cannot build up their board fast enough or get aggressive fast enough. Feels really strong. And then, I know some people don't like the set 4. I think it is one of the most broken cards in the game. It is the 8-cost Foxy, on play Don -1, draw 2, trash 1, pretty strong. And then you can rest an opponent's 9-cost or less. Really, really good in the Lucy matchup, just because it's going to be able to swing into those Lucy blockers, the 7-cost 9Ks, and clear those a little bit more easily, and also rest them. So you'll be able to kind of deal with the Lucy's board a lot more easily with these Foxys. If you get multiple out on the board, you are just a force to be reckoned with. It's super wide and super aggressive. It feels really, really good. And then that ramp effect makes it so your leader ability is basically free every turn. Onto the events, you're going to run a Divine Departure. Divine Departure lets you get rid of some of the bricks in the deck. The deck isn't super bricky, but it does have the potential to get bricky if you aren't taking care of your hand correctly. So the counter is really good, and then the main effect is really good for clearing some of your opponent's big bodies. In Enel, for example, if they play out a bunch of the 6-cost Enels, or maybe just 2, you're going to be able to clear one and really slow down their aggression with this, as long as you swing into the opponent's Enel and clear it. Then for counter events, you're going to run the Noro Beam Sword. It lets you get 2k counter after returning it on, and then resting one of your opponent's characters. A really strong card. Honestly, I'd love to see more in the deck, but unfortunately, I think it's pretty filled out. And then you're also going to run 2 of the Restand event. This Restand event is your game ender a lot of the time. It also lets you slow down your opponent if you need to stall a turn. Although I will typically not do that and advise against it, just because if you are having to slow down and stall a game, you are kind of behind. It is a play that's sometimes good to do, but a lot of the time, the play you're going to want to do with this is attach a bunch of Don, or maybe just a few Don, depending on who you're playing into, to this Foxy, swing with it, swing with all of your other stuff, including your leader, restand the Foxy, and end game. It's a really strong combo that not a lot of people see coming, and it feels really, really good. Anyways, that's the list. If you like it, please consider giving the video a like. If you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing. I do have my Twitter and other social medias in the description, including a Discord that I made. If you want to support the channel, please consider using the TCG Player affiliate link. It does really help me out. I am in college and have some expenses due to that, so that really does help out with that. Anyways, if you want to see some gameplay of the deck, I'm going to go do that now. If you are going to click off, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in future videos. Anyways, on to the gameplay. All right, we are playing into that Enel. Like I said, it's a really good deck. I think you definitely want to take first away from the Enel, because it can get really aggressive into you early. I'm going to keep this hand. I see a Porsche. Maybe I can search a 3-cost Porsche so I can curve out the 3-cost Porsche into the Bon Clay. That'd be a strong combo. If I don't see a better play than that, I might just have to play the Chopper. But start with the Porsche. No 3-cost Porsche, but we do see an Itamizu. I'm going to get that because that'll be my turn 3 play. Then I can play a Bon Clay on the turn after and have a Foxy out very quickly. They're going to play a Shura and start drawing some cards. All right, and we do see this, so I can go boom and grab a Gina. That's going to be really good for this matchup, and play out the... I'm going to play out the Itamizu just because getting that 1 extra Don isn't going to go too crazy, and this lets me double ramp on my next turn. I do have the 3 Foxy Pirates out that I need. Honestly, swinging there might not be optimal either. Maybe starving out the Enel, but I think getting Enel down to 2 life pretty early is important for this matchup, just because there's a lot of the time they're going to get a ton of Enels out, and that'll really screw you up. So getting the Foxys out early compared to the Enel, and just swinging aggressively can sometimes just outpace the Enel because you're freezing their leader and one of their characters, which is really, really impactful for some matchups. All right, they're going to swing a 5 and an 8 maybe. I think I counter out of the 5 and take the 8. A 6. All right, I did search this 2k to get out of a 6k swing, and then I take the 7. Nice, and we see another Porsche. All right, I can go to 6 and ramp into an 8 next turn, so I don't think I want to play the Porsche. Although I don't have a lot of counter in hand, I definitely want to play a big body next turn to hopefully outpace the opponent. So maybe I search into the 7 cost because that'll help in the matchup, but I think it's just play this. gain an active Don, swing into the Shura. Next turn I can play a Foxy even if they clear the Porsche, and then I can swing I can ramp actually. So maybe playing the Porsche was the right idea, because I would have been able to get the Foxy out next turn no matter what. I think that was the correct plan. And then I'm going to swing a 7 at my opponent, and I'm not going to tap my Porsche just because they could clear it, and that's not going to be a great play for me, even though I'm not getting them down to 2 life. All right, this is great because now I can Foxy and rest this NL and prevent them from being able to swing with it for a turn. All right, ooh, they clear my Mr. 2. That would have been great to swing into them with because of this NL's power. All right, I think I have to take both of these swings here, unfortunately, but we are able to really slow them down this next turn. All right, nice. And we see a Resonante in Law who's going to be really good for eating my opponent's attacks. Here I play this, turn it on. I will trash the Porsche and then rest the NL. And then here I can Itamizu to get a Don back and Foxy to get another Don and try and clear this pudding. That way they have nothing on board that they can swing with on the future turn. And then I can swing a 5, turn 3 Don, and freeze both of their swings for next turn. And so we know NL runs a lot of these 2k events, so I'm just gonna swing a 5 to try and get rid of the 1k events, which are a little bit more impactful. All right, and they do use this Verrier event I don't see a lot of people using. Then I pass here. They probably can't clear my board, so I'm chilling in that regard, but they do get this NL out. I think this NL is a little bit better to rest because it does become a blocker, so I will probably play another one of these Foxies to rest it and block it, and then lock it down. I'm gonna Lightning Dragon, freeze my Porsche. Maybe I shouldn't have swung with it, but I think I'm kind of fine here. I can maybe think about trying to clear this NL, especially if I see a, what's it called? A Divine Departure, so I can reduce its power. But the plan here is probably to just go all at face and get them really low. All right, now here I Foxy, turn it on, trash the 7-cost Foxy, rest this one, and then I ramp 3 Don back, and then I will swing a 5 and then a 10. Turn 3 Don, freeze those 2. I want to freeze the one that can become a blocker because I really want to send stuff at face right now. I have a ton of counter in hand. With the removal of pudding from the meta, the ability for Foxy to just build up a huge hand and protect his board is just so relevant right now. It's insane. I think that's one of the reasons why Foxy is actually going to be really strong, and I can gain 1 rested Don and go back up to 10 next turn. We have Foxy at 2 life. They have only 2 NLs out. This is exactly where we want to be. Next turn, I can possibly play out a Chopper in order to get a blocker out on the field, although they do have the option to rest blockers with one of their 2k events. It does eat a 2k event from their hand though, and they only have 5 cards in hand while I have 9. Ooh, it looks like they're gonna try and clear this Foxy, I think. Yeah, I think that's fine. I can switch it out with maybe another Foxy or a Resonante in Law. Resonante in Law is gonna let me cycle my hand out and get a brick out from my hand. Here, if they're gonna swing at the Foxy, it's the only thing they can do this turn, which is really, really good for me. All right, they're gonna cycle their hand a little bit. I don't think that's the right play. They do really need to hang on to that counter in hand. They're just gonna nuke my Foxy, I assume. If they swing at life, I just take it. It's kind of a wasted, yeah. Never gonna be able to get out of that, but I can just freeze them again. All right, so this Resonante in Law effect isn't gonna be used. I think it's better for me to just drop another Foxy. I think I swing first, and then maybe I could think about dropping a Chopper. Okay, my opponent does disconnect. I did have the game there, but I was just a little confused about what I should do next. I think I just swing all in at life. Yeah, they had 2Ks. I just go wide into them and keep being able to do that. I was thinking about searching with the Porsche for another Foxy. Kind of hard to see. I think I had one at the bottom there and one near the top. So that was probably a good play because we did see they have another NL in hand. Anyways, I'm going to do another game into a different deck. As you can see, I think with this sort of setup, the deck feels really good into NL. Anyways, on to the next game. All right, we're playing into a Gecko. I know Gecko gets pretty strong in this coming meta. I definitely want to take first away from the Gecko. See a Porsche and a decent amount of counter in hand. I'm going to keep this, especially because Groggy Monsters is going to be a pretty nice thing to play on curve because it lets me remove one of their Thriller Bark Pirates from the board, especially if it's the last thing I do. It'll let me KO the Perona, and then they won't be able to freeze anything. I do have a Chopper I can play off of the Porsche, so that's fine. And I see an Itamizu. I think Itamizu is going to be the play here, although I'm going to play the Chopper out because I don't have a play for next turn. I could potentially play a Groggy Monster next turn, but I think it's a little too early to do that. I should have swung at life there. I don't know why I hit the end turn button. It was a little bit of a misclick, especially because they probably just take it or counter out to get stuff in trash. All right, they play an Absalom, and maybe they send a 6 at me. I probably take the 6. I don't have any free easy counter out of it, so it's not really worth it. I'm gonna swing a 7 at me, that's even better. They do that to get the Absalom and trash. It also lets them search, which is kind of good for them. And they see a Perona. I definitely just take this. A 7k swing early into a 5 life leader is kind of not worth for the Gecko Moria. All right, they go up to 5 life though, so that's good for them. All right, this turn I just eat him Mizu. Actually, I can... Mr. 2 gets me to 2 Don. I think it's better for me to eat him Mizu this turn, and potentially Mr. 2 next turn. I think the correct play is probably to Foxy, but the Itama Mizu is going to help me scale into the late game a little better while I use my leader effect, so this is a bit better than that. I can protect my Porsche with the chopper if I need to. So I do have a pretty decent amount of counter in hand, and also a 7. Hopefully I don't get a trigger off of this, but because I didn't get a trigger off the last one, I'm pretty confident in being able to get them down to 3. They can play out a Perona if they get a trigger here, or an Absalom. I think Absalom's probably the correct play. Perona doesn't really get them anything here, but they don't see a trigger, so that's pretty nice as well. I'm pretty sure the Gecko Moria doesn't run any removal, so this Nola isn't super necessary for this matchup, but being able to see it, even though it's just a 2k, is pretty nice as well. Next turn I go to 8, so I can play a Foxy, ramp 2, and then leader effect and freeze whatever they play or swing with this turn. Not necessarily the best play just because they don't have a ton out on the field right now that I could freeze, but because I don't have an 8 cost Foxy, I can't rest whatever they play this turn. If they do play, if I draw into it, I definitely rest this Gecko Moria. Although now I can freeze the Absalom, which is nice. All right, they're not gonna play the Absalom. Here, if they swing into my Porsche, I think I protect it with chopper. Yeah, just eat the swing. Are they gonna leader effect? They have a lot of cards in hand, so it's probably not bad for them to leader effect here. All right, yeah, they do. They get rid of a Kumasi, which makes me think they have a lot of 2Ks in hand, although they might not now, just because they just did that. All right, do I swing with my Porsche? I don't think it's the correct play here to swing with my Porsche. I'm going to freeze the leader though. Next turn I go to 9 Don. I can potentially Groggy Monster next turn. They do counter out, which is nice for me. Keep that hand size a little bit low. Although now they're not going to be able to use their Gecko Moria leader effect. They do put a trigger into life, I assume, here. So maybe if I am going to swing with the Porsche next turn, I swing with it first. They have a lot of stuff in trash now, though. They do get to draw a card. They Absalom, and then probably bump up the Gecko Moria. I think I just take the 8k swing they send at me, because next turn I can start locking it down. They're not going to have any good swings on board. They could potentially just... Yeah, okay. I take the 9k. I have a lot of counter in hand. I think here I am going to play this. I think that's just the play every time when you have it in hand. Turn it on, trash a Porsche, and rest the Absalom. Absalom I'm going to start by swinging into with my Porsche. I'm going to search. They grab a Kumasi, and then I'm going to try and get them to use that Kumasi by swinging out life and freezing them. We know they have a trigger in life. Perfect. Can gain some rested Don back. And here I have the option to not swing. If I don't swing, they have 2 cards in hand and don't develop anything. So I'm going to do that. I think not swinging with the Foxy makes it so they don't get an extra body. Next turn, I can swing with the Porsche, and then they won't be able to freeze anything with a Perona, although they can this turn. All right, they're going to put the Perona into life, actually. So we can count on them getting 2 triggers next turn, which is kind of scary, to be honest. Don't know if I like that, but this next turn, I can play another Foxy, swing my other Foxys into the Gecko Moria to clear that. So I am chilling in that regard. I can also protect my board pretty easily. I'm going to get rid of I think the Rosemontane Law here is the correct option, but it's going to be pretty good to get a blocker out in the future because it will let me protect my 5k, although I would replace my 5k with the blocker. So maybe, yeah, I think I'm just going to get rid of it and not overthink it. Rest the Gecko Moria. Now I can go 7 into the Gecko. I could replace my Itama Mizu at this point, but they're going to be trying to clear my Foxies. All right, then I'll go at 5 at life. This lets me make sure whatever they trigger out, like, can't freeze my Porsche, swinging low to high. All right, they take it, use it to play out. I assume like maybe an Absalom, maybe a Hogback, a Perona. All right, now here I'm going to do another 5 at life. Turn 3 Don, freeze these 2, and now I can do something really annoying for them because they come out rested. Other than the off of the Gecko trigger, I can just swing into the Perona and clear it. I'm gonna ramp back Don real quick though, and I can swing into the Perona, clear it, and my opponent can't really do anything. This turn they have 1 card in hand and 1 5k swing. I'm looking really, really good. I have control of the board, and I can just keep kind of grinding my opponent out. That boa is kind of scary. Maybe I'll have to start thinking about clearing the Gecko Moria in order to deal with the boa, but I have a ton of cards in hand, so I'm not super scared. I can protect this by using a 1k All right, now I have to start thinking about playing a little bit differently. I need to start clearing their board. I don't have a way to rest this boa, so I think I just need to play out a blocker this coming turn, which should be pretty doable. Now they only have one card in hand, so I can swing into this gecko to clear it, although I don't think I need to do that yet. I'll start by clearing the gecko, I guess. Like, it's more worth for me to use leader effects to freeze 2, but if I have a way to rest this boa, it kind of changes things, but I don't, so that kind of sucks. I think I want to keep 7 Dawn active, so I can play a Groggy Monsters to clear whatever they play off of a trigger, and then after that, play a Chopper to replace the Itamamizu. So here, I think I'll go 5 at life to start. Maybe they play out a Perona here. I think the correct play is actually to play out a Hogback. Hogback's kind of like the last thing I'd want to clear. They don't get a trigger, so I'll go another swing at life. I guess clearing the Moria works there because now if I freeze the Zoro, it's easier to clear next turn. All right, I'm trying to think. I think I just return active Dawn. It's not super worth here, but freeze their leader, freeze the Zoro. Zoro's easy to clear next turn. They get a trigger, hopefully. Yeah, this again, it comes out active. That's pretty rough. I think a lot of rough triggers on my opponent's part towards me. But they get that. Does this play rested? No. A ramp. And then I can Groggy Monsters over Porsche. Turn it on. Clear the Hogback. Opponent does get to play something here. It's not going to be anything crazy, but I do need to just keep control of the board in order to win here. I have a ton of cards in hand, so it's like I have counter to protect myself. Then I can go play the Chopper over the Itamamizu, ramp one back, and then I can finish it with a 9 at life, set them down low. Potentially can end next turn with Megadon. They do get to go kind of wide this turn, but they again only have 1 card in hand and up to 3 swings. They got a Hogback trigger, so interesting. That is definitely not what I would play there. Maybe they're searching for something. They want to draw cards, maybe. I would have gone for an extra swing, but I have a Foxy out on field, so they need to invest into this Absalom in order to swing with it. And then with the boa, I can take care of that swing by blocking with Chopper, unless they have something to remove that. So I'm in a really good spot. I can take control back of the board. This boa is just like really scary. And that's one of the reasons why you run the 2-cost event that lets you return it on and then rest a character and get 2k counter, because if I had it there, I could have just rested this boa. Here I block, and now they don't have any more swings. They have another boa though. That sucks. Need to probably set them down to 0 life this turn and set up for going for game. All right, I definitely clear the boa. Potentially could just freeze the Absalom. I'm gonna search with the Porsche first. All right, nice. We see a Foxy. I'm gonna grab the Foxy, but in order to play the Foxy, I need to clear this boa, which is kind of scary. Maybe I don't do it. We'll see. Okay, they do protect it, so I cannot play the Foxy. So maybe not the greatest play. I do have another Chopper, so I can block another swing from the other one. Put another 10 into it. And then here, I think I want to clear the Groggy Monster, or clear the Zoro, and just leave the Absalom frozen, because I don't want to give my opponent a play, potentially. All right, now I go 5 at life, use the card action to return 3 Dawn, freeze their leader, and freeze the Absalom. Take it, I get a trigger that lets them search a card. So it's a little bit better than a trigger that lets them play something for me, just because I don't have to worry about it now. I know what they get. All right, they get a Hogback, that's fine. Doesn't really do anything good for them. All right, here I'm gonna search, and I will grab the Chopper here. I want to keep getting these blockers. I could potentially go for game. I could have potentially gone for game, but I think it's safer for me to just stall with playing the Chopper and getting a blocker. I can gain Dawn back. Something I forget to do a little bit too much, unfortunately. I'm gonna go 7 here at life. All right, they're gonna take that. Here I am going to play another Chopper, I think. 2 blockers is a lot better than 1, although they don't have anything with rush and they didn't get another character. I think I'm chilling here. At most they can do is play another boa to put me down to 0 and heal 1, but I think I just go for game the turn after, and then I'll just end turn here. I'll like fake having up 2k counter events. They can play a blocker here, but it does come out rested. All right, they're gonna make me trash a card. I trash the Porsche, get rid of a brick. That does help me a little bit more than it hurts me. I'm gonna KO the Perona, play out a Zoro. I definitely just have game here though. It's just math at this point. I block the Boa Hancock swing and just go for game next turn. Bit of a grind fest game, but I just go 6. I mean, if they counter out of it, whatever. Yeah, I'll show you the magic, or at least I'll try to show you the magic of the restand event. Go big swing, And that's game. Ooh, they left before I could type GG. Anyways, like I said, deck feels really, really good in this OP15 meta. I think OP15 meta, it's a huge jungle meta. I do think Boa and Nami are still really, really good, and I would like to test into them. Unfortunately, I don't see a lot of people playing on the sim right now. And right now, unfortunately, the sim does not have Pudding being banned, which means I can't really play in the OP15 meta on ranked. The ranked sim doesn't have Pudding banned. Anyways, I'm gonna go do the deck reflection, talk a little bit more about where I think Foxy fits in the meta, and expand a little bit on all that stuff. All right, here's that deck list one more time. I think Groggy Monsters feels pretty good in it. It's a good like mid-late game drop once you hit 10 Dawn. I do think finding another Noro Beam sword slot in the deck would be nice. Maybe you cut down on a Nola or Black Maria for it. I think the deck feels really, really consistent though, and really, really strong. I have no complaints about it, honestly. I would be comfortable running this list at like a store championship. I might honestly do that when they start up. I'm also thinking about playing this list in May at a regional, the Toronto regional. If you're going to be there, let me know in the comments. Shout out. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I absolutely adore this deck right now. It feels really, really strong. I can't stress that enough. I will absolutely be playing more of this deck in the OP15 meta. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to help me out, like, subscribe, all that good stuff for engagement. Use that TCG player link if you're going to make any purchases, especially with OP15 coming out this weekend, or pre-release at least. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.